Great day, beautiful people. What a crazy, controversial start to our Monday morning. But nonetheless, we are here, right? And we are having conversations. We are having the tough conversations. For those of you who don't know who I am Jay Davis. I'm the founder of EXP Elite and the owner of You Do What, the ultimate experiential marketing guide. So in this group, in the EXP Elite group on Facebook, we talk about all things experiential, but not just experiential. We also talk about ways in which you can better yourself through finances, through investing, through branding, and just overall personal development. This morning, M came in and she posed a very good question, right? She posed a very good post and observation, which I'm going to get into in a few minutes. But before we get started, I want to go over the house rules. First off, we are going to refrain from profanity and unprofessionalism. As you guys know, I host many live discussions in the group. We keep things professional, right? Everybody's opinion, while we may not agree or we may agree or disagree, that is that person's opinion, right? So we have to respect that individual's opinion with reason, right? We are not going to be unprofessional. We are not going to badmouth each other. We are not going to be using profanity. We can have professional, enlightening, insightful conversations and get our points across where each one of us feel valued and respected. So this is what this conversation is going to be about today. If you've come on to leave comments where you want to bash M, or you are just going to be flat out unprofessional, then this is not the conversation for you. You will be blocked and deleted from the group ultimately. So without further ado, I definitely want to go ahead and bring M on in a few minutes, but I also want to give you guys a background as to why we are having this conversation. So M reached out. She posted something in the group this morning, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. And then once she posted that, the floodgates open for comments, for thoughts, for everybody's opinion with regards to what she posted. So here's what M posted. I'm not understanding all of these event emails for $20 an hour. They seem like fun events too, with good hours. It sucks to turn them down, but I've been working hard in the BA industry for 8 years, and my local gas station, Target, Chick-fil-A are all starting at $16 to $17 an hour. Do you think they will eventually raise pay rates? I just don't get it. Also, can you give me some ideas as to what jobs are kind of the next step for BAs? I love events, but also want to keep moving up. Thanks, guys. And she also said she'll be ordering my book today. So I'm going to bring her on in a few minutes, but we have to understand that, everybody's journey in this industry is different. How everybody advances, how everybody moves up and even obtains opportunities, and works with different agencies and networks is different. You have to put the work in at the end of the day. I've always stressed that, even at the brand ambassador level. And as someone who has started at the brand ambassador level, working for opportunities and taking jobs at $15 an hour and having to work and travel to obtain opportunities, I understand what it takes to move up to the tour manager side and to maintain consistent opportunities. And if you guys haven't, please go back and watch my last video that I did on brand ambassador compensation. I had a couple agency owners in there and someone that works on brand side shedding light and their opinion into this topic and why, brand ambassador compensation varies within the industry. So I'm going to get into that in a few minutes, but let me go ahead and bring Em in and we're going to hear her side of the story. All right. Hey, girl.
My kids are here and my dog and stuff. So I'm going to try and stay on as much as I can. But yeah, so I posted that this morning. It wasn't to make anyone mad. I was just looking for advice and genuinely curious. And I love having conversations with other BAs and people in the industry to learn as much as I can and see what other people's thoughts are.
So how long? So let's start from the beginning. How long have you been working in the industry?
I'm 28 now. I started when I was 18 and it's been on and off since then. The past 5 years I've been doing it, more as full-time as possible. Back when I was 18, 19, 20, it was more on and off. But yeah, that's about how long.
Then how many different positions have you held in the industry outside from brand ambassador?
Not much, really. You know, I've just been working events, big events, long events, small events, liquor stores. See, there's my dog. Yeah, I haven't really done much other than BA work. A big part of it is I have 3 daughters, ages 3 to 7. So, you know, even if I wanted to be a tour manager, I can't really leave for that long yet. But that's why I'm, you know, as my oldest is getting ready to go, or I mean, my youngest in the next 2 years will be getting ready to go into school. I will have all my kids in school. So I'm starting to, you know, think about what's next. And I know there's so many different routes you can go when it comes to what like the next thing would be advancing, you know. And so that's why I asked that as well, you know, what did just to see what each person's, you know, timeline kind of look like, you know, what they decided to do after, if they're happy with their decision, if they regret it, you know, that kind of thing. But I feel like in the BA industry, you know, not many people want to share. I'm the complete opposite, but, you know, I get that. So yeah, that's why I asked.
And for those of you who hear that noise, I'm actually at a dock now waiting for T and I to pick up our load. So that's what you're hearing. But let me ask you, what market are you based out of?
I am in Maryland, really close to the DC line. So I do Virginia, DC, Baltimore. I did Pennsylvania the past weekend. So.
Okay. And generally, when you work as a brand ambassador, what is the pay that you typically see, and what is the minimum that you usually take for opportunity?
So kind of before COVID, I wasn't really seeing less than 25, all the way up to 40, in this area. And I'm a military spouse. So I have worked in the, you know, recently about 2 years ago, I was in the Colorado Springs market. So I'm generally in pricier areas. And yeah, as far as I remember, 10 years ago when I started in the BA industry, I don't ever remember getting less than starting at 20. And that was 10 years ago. I know everyone's story is different. And I was with a modeling agency then, not agencies like I'm with now. And so I personally don't take less than 25. And I think 25 is good. I don't always like to take the 25 ones. You know, I always shoot for 30 if I can. But yeah, what I was saying is that I feel like I know my worth, and everybody, you know, feels differently about it, and that's fine. I spend every single weekend away from my kids, away from my husband. And so I do a lot of driving, a lot of traveling. And to me, that's worth more than 20 an hour. If you know, people don't agree with that, I get it, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. And like I said, you are entitled to your opinion, but I do want to just stress a couple of things to you. For one, the industry is continuing to evolve, right? And even now with the pandemic and the way that things have happened and things have occurred, more brands are less apt to get back out there. They're apprehensive, right? Because they really don't know the climate of how consumer facing is going to be and how things are going to be in general. So a lot of brands are hesitant to even hire and even consider BAs because they just don't know how the climate of the environment is going to be. So with that being said, there are less brand ambassador jobs out there now. And there are less jobs that are paying at top dollar and what many would consider, you know, $20 and above. You know, when I posted the live, and I did a live discussion with the agency owners and the other BAs, before that, I posted a poll and I asked BAs, you know, if as the market stands today, what is the minimum that they would take for pay, right? And overwhelmingly, everybody's numbers were between 18 to 25 bucks an hour. That's what they felt was the minimum for pay. We had a couple of people that said, you know, still 15 bucks an hour, but you have to take into account, you know, the market now, cost of living now, you know, and I get it. I understand why brand ambassadors feel like they need to be compensated at a higher rate, but the flip side to that is, are you doing what you need to do as a brand ambassador to earn that amount, right?
Yeah.
We talk about earning your worth and being able to get paid top dollar, but you have to ask yourself, are you effectively communicating? Are you showing up on time? Are you doing the things that you need to do? And I'm not saying you're not doing that, but I also understand, you know, and the controversy with this post came in, you know, with people feeling like, you know, you're a pretty face, right? So there was some entitlement there. You know, do you feel like you're too good to work for less than $20 an hour?
Yeah.
And then people also felt like, you know, has she really been in the industry long enough to understand that pricing fluctuates based on the market that you live in? $18 may work for somebody in Arkansas or in the Southeast, but for somebody in LA or New York or DC, $18 may not be enough for them. So you have to look at both spectrums and the whole totality of the question you're asking. But I definitely want to ask you, what do you say to the people that say that you have an entitlement mentality, or that you're just coming off as a pretty face?
Yeah, that's really extremely offensive to me because like I said, I go away for weekends at a time. It's all my own gas money, all the miles on my own car. I don't see my, you know, this past weekend I worked 3 days in a different state and I didn't see my kids. I didn't see my husband. And so I miss soccer games. I miss out on so much because, and that's another thing, working weekends is a big deal. And in a lot of, you know, places you get more for working weekends because it's harder to find people that want to give up their entire weekend. And, you know, for someone to say that, you know, I'm just a pretty face really bothers me, not only because that's not true. For example, you know, the past weekend, I stayed an hour after I was supposed to without asking for extra pay. You know, I'm not going to say anything. And I scrubbed tires of a Ford Bronco. I scrubbed tires for them, like on my hands and knees, sweating in 90-degree heat. So to say that I'm just a pretty face is so offensive to me because I've worked my butt off to get where I am. You know, I'm someone who I love talking to people. I think that I bring a lot of value in that, you know, I know how to have conversations with people. I know how to sell a product. I know how to represent a brand. I'm a content creator online as well with over, you know, 60,000 followers between TikTok and Instagram. And I think that certain things that I worked so hard to build my resume. I've done certificate programs, everything. And, you know, I pay money for people to do my resume. I put a lot of work into social media. So when I can sit on a platform and ask for, you know, $1,000 for a post, and then I can go represent a brand in person, like sweating, talking all day, being up at 5 a.m. for $20 an hour, that's where, you know, it becomes hard for me. So long answer short, I find it very offensive to say that I would think that I'm just a pretty face.
Yeah. And I hear your sentiments and I agree, but I will tell you this, the industry and being able to advance in the industry, you have to put the work in, and you seem like you're the person that's willing to put the work in, right?
Yeah,
you don't mind.
I do it every single event. I'm reliable. You know, my main companies, they know that if they need a backup, I'm the one to call. So, you know, and I pride myself in all of that, and I get that that's different for everyone. So it's just, you know, that whole post was offensive to me because that person that was talking knows absolutely nothing about me or my work or, you know.
And I think they took offense to the fact, like I said, that they felt like you were downplaying the $20 an hour as if that was little to no money, you know?
Yeah.
So
I still stand by my opinion on that. That's like an agree to disagree type thing. So yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, and that is your opinion, and that's why we're having the conversation. But next steps as far as moving up and advancing in the industry, right? Every job, I'm here to tell you, every job may not pay top dollar. but that job may get you to the next opportunity, whether that is a management opportunity or even because you do have a family, being able to stay home and work regionally, work locally. So you have to understand there is give and take in the industry.
Oh yeah, and I take things here and there all the time that I don't think pay right or anything just to build my resume. I know it's going to be good for my resume type deal. So I get that.
Even agencies, understand that, in order to have the best BAs, they have to offer a substantial amount of, a minimum compensation. But again, like I said, that doesn't always equate to having quality BAs. But, with that being said, you just have to understand that a lot of times it's at the client's discretion, right? These agencies, they fight hard. The best agencies do fight tooth and nail to make sure brand ambassadors are compensated at a certain level, oftentimes coming out of their own pockets to pay more. But when you have brands, when you have clients that really don't understand the industry and tell you, okay, this is what we have to pay EXPs and this is our budget and we're not budging on that, oftentimes the agency's hands are tied up and they only can do.
That's a good point.
Only can do what they can given the budget that they're allotted. But you also have to understand, that one opportunity, like I said, could lead to a product specialist opportunity. Me working as a brand ambassador opened up doors for me to network with that account manager. And guess what? I was considered for the next product specialist opportunity, which then led to me getting my first tour. So you have to be willing and able to have an open mind in this industry. And understand that not everything that has a minimum requirement of $20 an hour, yes, I understand why that is essential, but it could lead to something bigger and better.
So here's my thing. I think that's where my post was taken out of context, because I was asking more so, is this the new normal? I've always seen jobs come up for 20 an hour. I get that. My thing is that it seems to be becoming more and more common. I'm seeing it more and more. And so that's, that's what I explained in my post. I think a lot of people, I'm not always good at my words, were misinterpreting, and I'm like, no, I'm saying, and I specifically said, is this the new normal? Is there a reason for this? Can anyone put some input on what's going on? And I mainly asked because if we're going to see regression and not progression in the industry, then, it may be time for me to start thinking about something else. And, that was my main question. What's going on? Is there, and I know you said you had done a live on it previously. I haven't had a chance to watch because kids and work. But that was more so my question, not it is absolutely unacceptable to have a $20 an hour job. Of course it's acceptable. Of course that's fine. But I was more so talking about
the future.
Myself or other people who have, more experience. Do I understand that, people that just had their first BA job would willingly take 20? Of course. I mean, some of them are 18 years old and 20 is great for them. And I get that completely, but that's not really what I was asking,
No, I understand. And someone just said, I agree with both ends of the discussion, but we need to have a set price in this industry. If not, it will hurt those who have busted their butts off both now and in the future. And that's true. I have discussed, having a industry standard for brand ambassadors. And I've posed this question to agency owners. And the question, the main answer they give is, for one, it depends on the client and the brand, right? And what they're willing to pay. And two, is that minimum going to be, is that going to relate, or is that going to translate to the amount of work or the work that we're going to get that's expected from that EXP, the roles and responsibilities? So that is a question that we always have in the industry. It's been a heated debate for years now, having a minimum for brand ambassador, tour managers, product specialists, and overwhelmingly, the majority has been, hey, while we would love to do that, because of the way that our industry is set up, it's going to be extremely difficult to put something like this in place because of the fact that brands and clients and pricing fluctuates. And even now with the pandemic, in the future, like we're talking about the future of the industry, right? As we see more events are starting to come back, more brands are starting to, see, okay, maybe we can start with one or two. We can test it and make sure everything goes well. Put vaccination procedures in place prior. Like in California, I know a lot of events require EXPs to be vaccinated. So we're starting to see the industry come back. But I will say this: there's going to be supply and demand when it comes to events. So the BAs that have the experience, the BAs that are willing to get out there and do the work, and it may require taking $1 to $2 an hour less to get in. Those are the brands those are the EXPs that will get those opportunities. But the window is going to get narrower, and your qualifications and your experience is really going to be looked at now with a fine-tooth comb. And then you may have some events where they just may need bodies, right? And those things may not be looked at. But for where we are right now, and we're going into the height of the season, the holidays is usually like the time where you can make your money, you can stack, and then we start the slow period in January. For where we are right now, events are starting to come back. So you have to ask yourself, where do you fit in? Are you going to hold yourself to that $20 minimum if an opportunity is going to present itself for future events with that agency or with that brand? Because you never know.
So to touch on, coming back after COVID and all that, something I've realized every single where, when we were doing the event last weekend, I went out to dinner with who I was working with, and I noticed signs on the door there, and we were kind of having this similar discussion. And I noticed at the gas stations, like I said, at Target, at Starbucks, literally everywhere I go, there are signs saying like, hiring now, we are raising our rates. And so another thing that tied into my question is, why are we seeing our industry lowering their rates and everywhere else making them higher?
Yeah, I think it does have to do with the fact that, for one, brands are really apprehensive to get back out there, so they're not willing to put the money in to invest a lot in events being executed. I think that has to do with it too. Also, I think that you are right. McDonald's, I see the signs too. Everybody is willing to give bonuses and then some, just to get people to start working, because nobody wants to work. People are living off unemployment. People do not want to go back to work. And at some point, the unemployment is going to cut off in all states, right? So people are going to be forced to get back out there. But with that being said, it has a lot to do with the brands. It has a lot to do with the clients. And it has a lot to do with the type of events and whether they feel like, paying $20 an hour is sufficient pay at this time with the industry in the market the way that it is right now. I think that the rates, my hope is that they will continue to go back up. But you also have to look at the market and the cities in which these rates fluctuate, because like I said, different markets require different pay, and not every client may feel like $20 an hour is needed for a BA to stand up in Walmart and talk about a demo when you have demo companies in those stores paying $11-12 an hour. So it really depends on how the agency sells that particular program to that client and to that brand, to show them that there is value in paying the 18 to 19 to $20 an hour, even from a product specialist level. I've seen the rates for product specialists go down to $20 an hour, $25 per diem as a W-2 employee with taxes taken out. So that has not been the norm usually in our industry. So I wouldn't blame a lot of it on the agencies per se. I think that they are, the good ones, I'm gonna say, are doing what they can behind the scenes to fight, for compensation and to pay more in spite of a pandemic. I just think that the clients are really reluctant and apprehensive to get back out there, and they don't see the value long term in paying the $3 to $5 more. So but I agree. Somebody just said clients need to know that there is a set price. This is a professional industry just like any other. The least that can happen is put a set rate across the board, especially since we don't get any other benefits but our pay. I hope these issues change.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I think that, the client needs to understand that this person is representing your entire brand at events. I've worked with BAs where I would cringe at the things they said to the customers. Like, I just couldn't believe that that's who was representing the brand. And so I think you have to watch what you're paying and stuff. And, you know, you have to look at experience, and you have to look at different things, because that is the person that's what that person is going to remember about that brand. And I think that, you know, if they want to short us on pay and this and that, then, you know, they can only expect so much from people. So
And then someone just said, they made a great point too. Clients are not the issue. The issue is the staffing agency taking a lower bid for the gig just so they can get that one deal. If the staffing agency knew its worth and knew that it could bring it to the table, then they wouldn't lower the price. With that said, we need to stick with the staffing agencies that have our values and their best interests. So you got the other gamut, you know, where you have agencies that sometimes take the lower bid just to win the business, right, and win the contract in hopes of keeping that client, or being able to say, okay, look, we did a great job for you this one event, and now we have to up our price because now you see the quality and the value that we bring to an event. That is the hope for a lot of agencies, but oftentimes it doesn't pan out, you know, to be that way. And I've been on the other side, you know, as a BA, even as a tour manager, asking for more money after committing to a tour, a long-term tour. And oftentimes, you know, the thing is, okay, you know, the client allotted this budget, but we're going to see how we can go ahead and make it up to you on the back end. But quite frankly, Jay, we just don't have the money. The client didn't allot that. Some cases it is true, and that's the case. In other cases, the brand, the agency may just be trying to pocket more money. Who knows, right? I can't speak for the agencies because I'm not the agency, right? I can only go off the conversations and the things that we have discussed. But there are some great agencies out there. There are some that understand the value and the importance of EXPs in this industry. And they, like I said, they do fight. The good ones do fight for that compensation. And there are agencies that will not, you know, take a client if they're paying a low amount for BAs, because they understand what that BA brings and the value that they bring as an agency, even from an admin perspective and managing the day-to-day operations of their agency. So we got to look at this thing as a totality. You brought up a great topic and a great question, and I'm glad that we were able to have this discussion, because people need to understand that, yes, while having and demanding and wanting the $20 an hour is a goal that we all have in mind, you have to ask yourself, like, are you willing to put the work in consistently, right, to the roles and responsibilities to have the opportunity to demand that on a consistent basis. And you have to be able to work with your agencies too, especially like you said, you built a rapport with great agencies. So if that agency couldn't pay you $20 an hour for that one event, are you not going to work with them? I'm pretty sure you'll still work with them, right? Because they keep you busy.
Yeah.
So that's the name of the game, you know, and I caution BAs all the time, you know, loyalty, being able to build a great rapport with account managers and agency owners, even brands, being able to understand your value. You know, I preach know your worth, but know your worth within reason. You can't be asking for $30 an hour if your work ethic is 18 to 20. And you, like you said, some of the things that you're conveying.
That's what really frustrated me about, if we go back to the whole post, is someone, you know, assuming that they know my worth ethic, you know, and that I haven't always been paid that much. And, you know, that maybe I was lying when I said that I generally make $30 to $35 an hour over 60% of the time. That's not a lie. I can't, just to make someone else feel better, I'm not going to make up what a price when that's the truth. And so that's why my post was about my experiences and wondering about why it was going down. So
and this is also, we got to keep in mind, you live in DC, Virginia area. So your market and your pay for that particular area is relative to what you're used to seeing, right? So we definitely have to keep that in perspective as well, you know, because it's going to be.
My pay was the same in Colorado as well. But I mean, I don't know how you would compare the markets price wise. They're both pricier areas, but, you know, like, I don't live in the South, and I know it's cheaper down there. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. And people are asking, you know, what do we do with this issue? What are the steps we could take to make a change? I would say the first thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Something that I thought would be, you know, of course, to make this change, I don't even know how you would do it unless we all came together, which you can see from my post, not everyone agrees. So that's a hard thing to do. Something that I was thinking about that I thought was interesting was that I know tons of independent contractors not in the BA business. I know someone who is a power washer, and just all different kinds of independent contractors, and they all set their own price. I mean, it's just like across the board what you do as an independent contractor, in my opinion, and they all set their price. And let's take the power washing, for example. If he wants, he'll tell them how much he charges for the job, and they can choose to hire him or not. I think that would be an interesting way to do pay in the BA industry. I'm sure there would be problems that would arise with that I haven't thought of, but that way, I went to an interview for a company. I haven't been to an in-person interview in a while, but they did it like that for whatever reason. And I was sitting across from someone, and this was her very, she was, I'm 28 and she was a lot younger than me. And she, this was her very first time doing an event ever. And, sitting, and we were offered, the same exact amount of pay. And to me, in every other industry and every other thing that with built experience and resumes, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's where I'm talking about it can be offensive. Or are we changing the industry to all younger new people if everything's 20 an hour? And so I have to pay my babysitter $25 an hour. So there's other reasons why 20 is offensive to me personally. So sitting across from someone that they're offering the same exact amount of pay, I think that it should be more of a, hey, here's my resume, here's my background, here's who I have worked for, here's what I have accomplished in my career, this is what I've done, and this is what I charge. And if they want to turn you down, and they don't, if that company and that event, like you said, just needs bodies and doesn't care that much about experience and what you've done and what you can bring to the table. And it's the same way with social media. I bring companies my media kit showing who I'm reaching, what I talk about, all that kind of stuff. And they can either accept the amount I'm asking for, or we go back and forth and we work it out. And so representing a brand on the internet, we do the same exact thing. We just do it in person. I'm trying to, when people ask about my job, sometimes that's an easy way to explain it. I'm like, kind of how you see brand ambassadors on Instagram and TikTok and stuff. We represent brands, but we put the work in person. We leave our house, and so I've kind of thought about that. What are your thoughts on that?
So first off, I'm gonna throw my plug in there. You can refer them to You Do What if they want to learn about the industry. That gives them the A to Z about the industry with regards to telling people about the industry. But to answer your question, this is a twofold question, and this has come up often. And I got to be honest with you, right? We've had this conversation about unions, right? Can we unionize? There was even a group that tried to create a union for BAs early last year, before the pandemic, to discuss the things that you're talking about now, having a set pay, having the BA stick together, making sure everybody, when a job comes up, everybody is on one accord and understands that they don't accept jobs for a certain amount. But you know what the problem is? One person will say $20. I'm not taking it for less than 20, and you have somebody else that's willing to do it for less than 20, $18, $19. So when you
think that the brands would always go with, like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that the brand, if we did it that way, would always go with the person asking for less, even if their resume was awful compared to the person asking for 30?
So let me tell you this, it's not so much of the brand, it's the agencies, right? Like I said, there are agencies that go in and sell the programs and say, look, this is my bottom line. This is what it costs for me to bring top-notch talent to your event. This is what it's going to cost you to have the top BAs, the top EXPs, the top product specialists, the top tour managers. It is up to that brand and client to say, well, you know what? We're going to go with somebody else that's going to save us more money down the line on our bottom line. Or you know what? Okay, we see the value that you bring. We see what your agency represents and the type of EXPs that come out and represent our brand and our brand in the totality and engage with our consumers. We love the way that you guys do business with professionalism. So you know what? We don't mind paying the extra $2,000-$3,000 versus going with someone else that's going to be cheaper, because we know the value that you're going to bring.
So it'll probably be like 50-50 on.
But then it trickles. But then it trickles down from there. Okay, down to the agency. it is then their job to be selective with the EXPs and the people that they hire. And if they're looking at their bottom line and they're saying, okay, you know what, the client's going to pay us $1,000 over what we're asking. Do we want to pocket that and pay the BAs post a job for less, or do we want to go ahead and pay top notch and not even worry about taking, more money in our pockets and pay more money? Now, the problem with our industry is that, okay, yes, just because we band together and we say we're going to set a minimum $20 an hour, we're going to unionize, we're going to work together. You got to make sure and have quality control and make sure that every person is doing $20 an hour work. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's where the industry has an issue. That's where things tend to drop the ball, because you have EXPs that'll take less and still do quality work. And then you have EXPs that'll take more and do a piss poor job, like just to be honest. So that has been the gripe for so many in the industry. And the reason why, the whole question of unionizing and us coming together has been such a issue of contention, because not everybody's work ethic, not everybody's roles and responsibilities, not everybody's ability to be on time, to convey adequate brand information, to turn in recaps on time, to just show up, quite frankly. Not everybody has the same work ethic, and not everybody is on the same page with regards to the
I could see where that could obviously be an issue that I didn't think of, is people not coming to the table with all of that, or faking their resume, or that kind of things, and saying I want the 35, and then they'll be like, well, why did I go with the person who asked for more when the 20 an hour was better or just the same? So I can see that. And
you're not going to really know what somebody does. People can fake it. People can create a pretty resume. People can interview well. People can do everything right. But until they get on site and you see their work ethic and you see how they engage with consumers, how they engage with each other, how they talk to the client, that is the real test right there. I've interviewed so many BAs who talk good, but when we get on site, their work ethic is complete opposite. Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, we got to send you home. I'll work as a BA in your place because I can't have you here. No, seriously, because guess what? No, you jeopardize everybody's job. You jeopardize that contract and that opportunity with that client and that brand for that agency. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that going on the back end. And let's not talk about liability and BAs that may come to work hungover or doing things or stealing. We're not gonna even go there.
Yeah, so how many events I've worked where people are drunk, or I'm just like
so you see the room for error, and why this topic in this conversation always comes up. But what I can tell you this, the people that separate themselves from the pack, the people that go the extra mile and create and really sell themselves with video, with resumes, that turn in their paperwork in a timely manner, that go above and beyond the call of duty, that are always professional and reliable. Those are the ones that agencies and brands love. Those are the people that oftentimes when you're on site and the client sees that, they're saying, you know what, I want that manager to continue to manage the rest of my events for the rest of the year because I love the way they do things. And that agency has no choice but to keep you in that position. So keep doing the things that you're doing. You say you have a media kit. I push all the time in this industry. Have a video resume. Have a social media that speaks to your experience. Talk about the things that you learn in this industry. You got to sell yourself as an asset in order for brands.
Does your book talk about like next steps and those what you could do if you're Yeah, I drop all of that. I talk about how to move from brand ambassador to product specialist to team lead to tour manager. I talk about both sides of the industry because it's important that we talk about the totality of advancing in this industry. And I've been able to do that. I'm a living testament to being a BA, working 5 jobs, 4 to 5 events in a day, finishing with liquor promos, having to really scrape and start from the bottom and really network with the right people. I've been in your position where
where I've had EXPs not want to tell me how to, advance or work with certain agencies and not give me their contact because they were scared that I was going to get a one-up on them, right, and take their position. But at the end of the day, there's enough money to go around in this industry. Yes, the pandemic has happened and jobs are scarce, but the industry is going to come back. And there's enough money to go around. And at the end of the day, if you do quality work, if you do what you're supposed to do, you always going to have a job. I got to the point where I didn't have to call agencies and brands, even clients were reaching out to me. Yeah. So it can be done. And I'm here to tell you that it can be done. But at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, like, are you willing to put the work in, right? I took some jobs that paid less because I knew where I was trying to go, but I didn't stay there. And once I got there, I was able to go in and say, you know what, this is the value that I bring. This is what the certifications that I have. Talk to your client and see if they can give me a little bit more. Even if it's $1 to $2 more an hour, it still adds up. So being able to sell yourself, being able to market yourself, because you are a brand within a brand. Yes, you're representing brands, right? And you're out there consumer facing, but you are a brand.
Yeah.
You are a brand. J Davis, I am a brand, and I have to represent myself accordingly. So these are just some things that we always have to keep in mind. My mind's racing, right? We always have to keep these things in mind, as we continue to progress in this industry. But I definitely want to caution, and I definitely want to tell you, what you asked today, what you posed, it was nothing wrong with it. I thank you for coming on and being honest and being transparent, because people need to hear this, And I thank you for clearing up the stigma around the entitlement perspective and being a pretty face, because I've gotten that too. Oh, you just pretty. That's why they hired you. No, I put the work in. Don't get it twisted. Like, I'm pretty, but I'm going to get down on the floor and scrub and do what I need to do. And I'm going to do 12-hour setups and breakdowns because I understand my worth. So don't get it twisted. This pretty face came to work too. Yeah. So and that you sound like that, and you were kind of a little nervous when we started, and I could tell. But I just want to caution you and tell you, if you want to advance in this industry, right? If you want to continue to progress, if you want to continue to move up, start looking at product specialist opportunities. Auto season is right around the corner. We're going to see how it goes with the pandemic. I've seen some auto shows pop up recently, but get in with the Gale & Rice's, the Production Plus. There are more.
Yeah, I've worked with them before and done all those stuff. But so you're saying product specialist as in where you would travel with like this, like if you're with, I don't know, Jeep, like you would travel to all the auto shows with them.
Toyota, or AMC.
That's always a goal for me to be, I have my 2 liquor companies that I do a lot of work for, but it's more so, I think everyone can agree that, maybe not everyone, that sometimes the goal is to just be exclusive with someone for a while, to not do 800 different companies. Like, it gets tiring.
And I know, and I've done liquor. I did Diageo, Moet Hennessy. I did Absolute, but I diversified because I knew at the end of the day, liquor was my starting point, but I knew I wanted to progress and do more in the industry. So you might have to jump out that liquor, and for me, I was glad to get out the hills. So,
I do a lot more than just liquor, but that's the goal, is to be with, and I love liquor, so I wouldn't even mind being exclusive with a certain brand like that, but yeah, diversification is key.
Taking the assets that you currently have right now and saying, okay, how can I position myself, right? How can I sell those assets as qualities and things that brands and agencies would want to see in the future? So definitely start thinking long term. Start going back and looking at your resume and restructuring your resume to see how, okay, I want product specialist opportunities. Have I done any work that required me to speak in front of large crowds or give product information? Am I good with being able to convey brand information like this? And you said you worked with these brands before, so it may just be you taking the time, honestly, to go back, do some research, do some homework, revamp a few things, and start back reaching out. Now is the time with brands coming back and starting to execute more events. You might just need to take some time in the next couple of weeks to follow up with some account managers, see if they're still there,
Yeah.
right? And see what opportunities they have in the pipeline. So I
Okay.
know with your schedule and you having kids and, you being limited to how you can move, I'm on tour. I don't have children, so my obligations are different and I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, there is still money to be made. Even if you decide to move into a management position or work more regionally within your market, there are opportunities out there. You just got to put the work in and start
Yeah.
reaching out and putting your fillers out there to see what agencies, what account managers reach out to you. And make
Yeah.
sure that you do that video resume. You sell yourself. You talk about the experience that you have, the assets, the experience you've been able to obtain, and how that can be translated to helping them, whether that be a one-off event, a regional event, or a month-long program. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for joining me. Let me see. We're gonna go over some more things. People ask how I got 3 tours while we were in the pandemic. I tell them I did. I was bust my butt and make sure to build relationships. Yes, networking and building those relationships is key.
Yeah.
So, let me just read some more. Drop it, gems, facts. Everybody's watching. Okay, so yeah, these are. I mean, don't be so hard. I want to caution don't be so hard on the agencies. Just know there are great agencies out there providing value that are out there fighting for um, to pay EXPs more money. Now, it may not be $20 at that time, but these agency owners understand the market. They understand the economy. They understand the cost of living, that things have gone up. So they are out there. The good ones are out there fighting for your best interest. And a lot of these agency owners have been where you are in the field executing events. So they understand what it takes to successfully be out there in the field doing your job, but also it takes some give and take on our end too as EXP. So definitely go back, watch my video if you haven't on brand ambassador compensation. I also talk about this more on my YouTube channel, and I drop some gems and tips there for you as well.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions for me? And thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who supports this group. It's good that we can have these conversations like this, where we may agree to disagree, but we have like-minded, insightful conversations where everybody's voice is heard, right? And everybody has the opportunity to chime in and voice their concerns. So I thank all of you for continuing to support this group. I know the industry has been on a slow season for the past year due to the pandemic, but I am confident that the industry is going to come back. But I applaud all of you for sticking it out. And even the ones who have pivoted and started new business ventures, like you jumping into brand influencer, right? And digital marketing. It's this industry has so many avenues in which you could continue to grow and continue to evolve. So I just want to say kudos to all of you who continue to support this group, but kudos to all of you who are seeing that, I have to have a plan B, C, D, and E in place. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you, M,
Yeah,
for
of course.
taking time. I know it could have been a little you know, I'm looking for the word. You would probably were a little apprehensive to join this group, to join this conversation, but I'm glad we were able to have this talk. And I
Yeah.
hope that, it was enlightening and insightful for you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.